This video is for anyone who wants to get an introduction to the Symbio Service and Installation app on Symbio 800 controllers for IntelliPack or Chiller. This app is available in the App Store and then the Google Play Store. It connects to a Symbio 700 or Symbio 800 controller. It's the primary service tool for a Precedent, Odyssey, and Voyager 3 with Symbio 700. But it also provides valuable mobile access to the Symbio 800 on IntelliPack or chillers for service or monitoring. So before I get into showing you more of the app, I'm going to describe what's in front of me. I have a Symbio 800 controller. It's a demo, not a working piece of equipment, so the data may be a little incomplete, but I do have the controller in front of me. It is connected via USB to a Train Wi-Fi module that is running in host mode. The phone I have in front of me is connected to the Wi-Fi module, is connected to the network that is hosted by the Wi-Fi module. I also have a USB stick inserted into the Symbio 800 controller and an SD card that was shipped with the Symbio 800 controller is plugged into that as well. These will be used later in the demo. So let's open the app and take a look. When I start the Symbio app, I see the option to either view the available devices or to log into Train Connect Remote Access. Train Connect Remote Access provides a secure way to remotely access controllers from anywhere. That is not what I'll be using today for this demo. I'm going to tap View Available Devices to connect locally. This brings up the unit list. So this is the list of controllers that are available to connect to. This page could potentially show Symbio 800s available via Wi-Fi. At the top, you see there's one available. I could see Symbio 700s available via Bluetooth. If I logged into Train Connect, I would also see all of the Symbio 700 and 800 controllers I have access to. You can also see in the upper right corner of the screen, I have a 3-dot menu. If I bring this up, it provides access to preferences within the app. I can also see information about the end user license and the privacy policy. The support would let me access Train Tech Support, and the sign-in would let me connect to Train Connect Remote Access to see equipment remotely. But I'm going to tap out of that dialog and I'm going to access the controller. The first screen I get to in the app, once I've connected, is a home page for that controller. At the top, I've got a list of the active diagnostics, and I can see more of those through, I see one at a time, and I can see them all by swiping through them. I've also got a section for the IntelliPack that if I tap that to show more, I can see equipment serial number, controller serial number, model number, and license type. If this was actually installed on a piece of equipment, I would have that equipment serial number and model number, but because this is, as I said, just a demo controller, I don't have those pieces of data. The next section is going to give me an overview of how the equipment is running. As I mentioned, this is a demo controller, so you can see I'm missing a few pieces of data. But this section is custom for the piece of equipment that I'm connected to, so it'll show different information for different pieces of equipment. A little about the navigation in the app. I've got an exit button in the upper left corner that would take me back to the unit list. I've got refresh data in the upper right corner, so that's the blue circular arrow that would refresh the data on the page I'm looking at. And then the primary app navigation is along the bottom. So you can see right now I'm on the home page, but there are 4 other icons down there that I can tap on. I'm going to start by tapping on the second one, which is for settings. The settings page shows how the controller is set up to run. So I can scroll down to see a few of those. They're mostly set points and limits. If I want to make a change to one of them, I can tap it. So you can see here I could change a numeric value with a little keypad on screen. I also have some settings that are under the field startup option, which is the second one from the top. I've also got some options near the top that I'm going to run through. One of these is field startup. So these are the settings that would be considered part of starting the equipment up in the field. They are for more experienced personnel, so we're going to ask you to confirm that you really want to change those before you tap them. And now I see a few more options to make changes to. I showed you how you would change a numeric value. Now I'll show you how you would change a multi-state. You just have a set of radio buttons that you can make a change to. If I wanted to save the change, I could hit the check mark in the upper right corner. But instead of saving those changes, I'm going to hit the X to cancel. Now we'll get out of the field startup. There's also an option at the top for save or load settings. This will let me create a settings file that would save the content of that settings page to my mobile device. And then I would be able to use the load settings later to load a file from my phone. This lets me save time on a site if I have multiple pieces of equipment that would have identical or nearly identical setup. The next option along the bottom looks like a little chart line. I'm going to tap that and it's going to bring up our status. So this is just going to show me how my equipment is running. And I can just scroll through the list of status items. The next icon is alarms and diagnostics. So when I tap that, it's going to bring up first my diagnostics page. I can see my list of 31 active diagnostics, or if I tap the historic, I can see the 69 historic diagnostics. The three-dot menu in the upper right corner lets me reset the diagnostics, or would you let me view the alarms? So if I tap to view the alarms, I can see the active alarms, or I can choose to filter my alarm history by severity, date, or source, and then pick a category to see in a list format. The next option in the navigation along the bottom is a set of tools. There are quite a few useful features in here, and I'm going to walk you through a few of those. Starting from the top, we have View Data Logs. This is going to give me a list of the data that's being currently logged in the controller. The blue icon on the right lets me view one at a time. And I can also use the checkboxes on the left side of the screen with the View Multiple option above the table to view multiple data logs on the screen at the same time. Once I'm viewing those data logs, I can run my finger over a line to see the values and timestamps. I can also tap the timeline to adjust the amount of data that I'm seeing, or I can adjust the start time for the display on the phone screen. This lets me zero in on the exact data that I want to see. The next option is schedules. This was newly added to the app for Symbio 800, but is also available for 700 as well. Here I can see the schedule I have in the controller. I have one schedule right now. If there were multiple, they'd show here. I can make changes from this page by tapping an event and either selecting to change the time or the value. I also have the option to make this a permanent change or to only change the day that I'm viewing. I can also tap anywhere in that card for the occupancy schedule to see the full 7-day schedule. Details lets me see the schedule members and effective dates. And I can also change events from here or use the plus button at the top to add an event. So fairly robust schedule functionality. The service option lets me change my system units. It would also let me view any expansion modules installed on the controller and reset the IMC link if that is needed. Protocol configuration and LAN talk and IP configuration allow me to set up this device to communicate on a site. So just to tap quickly, protocol configuration allows me to change between BACnet or Modbus settings. And to do the BACnet setup, I would need to connect to a BAS. LAN talk would let me do the same for a LAN talk site. IP configuration would be used to set up either for doing communication to a building automation system via IP or else to get connected to Train Connect. Regional specifications are date and time. Intelligence services would let me get connected to Train Connect for the purposes of remote access. I'm not currently set up, so this is why this is showing up as status failed. But I would be able to put this controller into Train Connect and access it remotely. The cell modem would allow me to set up a cellular modem if I wanted to connect to Train Connect directly with a cell modem instead of through a local area network. I'll show you lid binding. So if there was a sensor replacement, I would be able to bind the lids. As I mentioned, this is just a demo controller, so I don't have a full set of lids. So if you see along the top, I can see that I have 0 bound lids. I have 16 unbound lids, 0 extra devices, 0 incorrect bindings. I can scroll through the list. And if I had a physical lid, I would be able to use the bind button to put that lid into binding mode and then use the magnet to complete the binding. I'm going to exit the lid binding now. TGP2 programs. I don't actually have any custom programs in this controller, but if I did, I would be able to see their name and status here, and I can run or pause them. Backup and restore. So I can store a backup from this controller on the SD card that's inserted into the controller. And then I'd be able to pop that out and put it in a replacement controller if need be, and use the restore option to restore from an SD card. For updating firmware, the firmware file is larger than is really something you'd want to be storing on your phone on a consistent basis. So we support the ability to use a USB stick. So if I have a version of the software or of the firmware for the controller stored on a USB stick, and I could choose to do that update from here. The restart controller option will do exactly what it says. Restart the controller in case there's an issue. Manual control settings allow me to put the equipment into a manual mode. So we have the front panel auto stop is at the top, and that is a switch that I can tap to stop or run. And then I've got tabs for the different groups of manual control settings available. So I can tap through those and select the one I want to make that manual control. Both manual control settings and lid binding are only available locally. So what that means for the app is if you are connected via the Wi-Fi module, you can make those changes. You can also access them if you are using remote access and you acknowledge that you are verify that you are local using the TD display. So essentially you would be able to tap the local access option at the bottom of the page to enable local access, and that will bring up a dialog on the TD display on the controller, and you would press the OK button and that will enable those local features. Again, that is lid binding and manual control settings that you need to be local for. So that's an overview of the functionality available in the Symbio 800 controller when accessed using the Symbio Service and Installation app.